I know. You're probably like, really, Jenny? Really? You've never tested your hair for its porosity? I know. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. As always, I really appreciate it. And if you are a regular to my channel, you might notice that things look a little different. This is not my forever setup. This is just something temporary. Hope it's not too bad. So for today's video, I am going to be testing my hair for its porosity. I know. You're probably like, really, Jenny? Really? You've never tested your hair for its porosity? I know. Now, I've always had my ideas of what my hair is. And I guess I felt very strongly about my guesses that I never felt the need to test my hair. But that's all going to change today. I said, you know what? This is unacceptable. So we're going to do this together because I was like, you know what? It's so much better and so much more fun when we do it together than when I do it by my damn self, because you know nobody in my family is going to want to test their hair porosity with me. They're probably going to look at me like... So I'm not going to go too dived into like the world of porosity, because truthfully is I already feel like YouTube has so many informative and just wonderful videos on this topic. So I just don't know if there is a need for it. However, if you guys would want a video, if you guys want me to make a video that's a little bit more educational, informative about hair porosity, I could definitely do that for you guys. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is in the description box below, I am going to include a couple of videos that I myself have watched and I have found to be so informative and so useful, more like in-depth information about porosity. So I am just going to talk very briefly about it, but the whole point of today's video is actually doing the test together. Just to kind of give you a little bit of like a summary, your hair's porosity, all it means is your hair's ability to retain moisture. So each little strand of hair, so if you were to get a little strand of hair and put it under a microscope, it would look something like this. This is for all of my visuals like me. Like if you're a visual person, this is going to be very helpful. So, and each little strand of hair has what's called a hair cuticle. Now this cuticle can be very closed, very tight, or it can be very open, or it could be somewhere in the middle. So in very simple terms, that is what determines your hair's porosity. If it's very close, if the cuticle is very close, that means that you have low porosity. If it's very open, it means that you have high porosity. Somewhere in the middle, it means that you have normal. I don't even like to necessarily call it normal because I'm like, well, what are the other two things? Abnormal? So we'll just call it middle. So it's like low, medium, high. I think that sounds better, right? So when your hair has low porosity, which is when the cuticle is like closer in, or it's like really tightly closed, it makes it much more difficult for hydration, water, moisture to get into the hair. Why? Because it's tightly sealed. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, if you have high porosity and the cuticles are very open, then that means that a lot of moisture can actually get into the hair because the cuticle is just wide open, like, come on in. And then, of course, I'm mentioning like extremes, but there is like a middle. Sometimes different parts of our hair have different porosity. So keep those things in mind. That's just like a very brief, very minimal explanation of what your hair's porosity is. Let's get to why we're even here, which is we're actually gonna do the test. So we're gonna do 3 tests on my hair. Oh, and by the way, feel free to pause this video, grab your things, and we can do the test together. So the 3 tests that I'm going to be doing are what Google considers to be the most popular. So according to Google, these are the 3 most popular tests that you can do to figure out your hair's porosity. So the number 1 is the cup test. I feel like this is the most popular, but it's also the most inaccurate. Of course. Then the test number 2 that I'm going to be doing is the spray bottle test. So I have my little spray bottle here. So we're going to spritz the water on our hair and see if it leaves like little trickles of water. And then last but not least, the last test I'm going to be doing is the strand test. I'm going to be grabbing a strand of hair. I'm going to run my finger through it. And that's going to also tell me, it's going to give me an indication of what kind of porosity I have. Now, I would say that my guess, okay, throughout all these years, I was under the impression at first that I had high porosity hair. And here's why. It's because I live in Miami and we have this thing here called humidity. Ever heard of it? And listen, you guys, I'm not even joking. The humidity here, it's real. I mean, it is so intense. Sometimes I feel like you can go outside and like pick the humidity. have it for lunch. So it would always happen to me that people would say, like, for example, if it's raining, people would be like, oh my gosh, it's raining. Are you afraid that your hair is going to become like a lion? And I'm like, I wish. My hair does the complete opposite. If I step outside and there is just the tiniest bit of humidity, my hair just goes instant wet puppy curly hair look. Like, that's what I feel like I look like. I look like a wet, sad puppy. I immediately assumed, okay, well, that means I have to have high porosity hair, because that just means that I step outside, and because my cuticles are open, the moisture is getting right in, and that's just making my hair feel heavy. It doesn't get wet, but it starts to feel like it wants to get wet. So I always assumed that I had high porosity hair because of that reason. Like, that was a main reason why I thought that. Now, in the last few years, I don't feel that anymore. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. So I feel like I have medium porosity hair. And the reason why I think that is because, yes, my hair is very sensitive to humidity. However, my hair is not very sensitive to color. You guys know I love color. I have been adding color to my hair, you guys, for years. I have been able to add color to my hair without causing any real significant damage. And when I get my highlights or when I get my color, the color takes on pretty quickly. I mean, like, my hair lady comes like 15 minutes later, she checks, and it's usually like, oh, okay, we got like 2 minutes left. So the process of coloring my hair is fairly quick. So that is what I started to pay attention to, which then led me to believe, well, you know what, maybe I don't have high porosity. Maybe mine is a little bit more like somewhere in the middle, or like in between middle and high, like somewhere in there. So that is what my guess is, but we're gonna find out. Are you guys ready? Because we're going to put this to the test. You got your stuff? I got my stuff. I'm ready to go. Are you guys ready to go? Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is the cup test. So I have my cup with my water, and it is room temperature. So make sure that if you're going to do this test, make sure the water is room temperature, because being hot or cold can change the results. And another thing is, you have to make sure that your hair is 100% clean without any product. Why? Because obviously there's some products out there that are going to change the way your hair reacts in water. For example, one of my favorite gels, which is like from the Dad, is humidity gel. So it's like, it's helping with humidity. So obviously if I had that in my hair, I test it, the results aren't gonna be as accurate. So make sure that your hair is clean with no product. My hair is clean, and you guys, this morning I tried my very hardest to clean it the best that I could. So I'm feeling pretty confident that it is stripped of any product, and I have nothing on it right now. So I saw this one video that says you should grab strands from different parts of your hair. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So let's start from in the front. So let's grab a strand of hair from the front. Okay, so I have my first strand. Can you guys see that? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop it in. Now I'm gonna grab some from the back here. I ripped off like 3 hairs. Oops. So now I'm going to drop that in. What do you guys think? Should we do one more? Let's do one more. Let's do one on the side. Let me make sure I'm only ripping 1 hair. All right. Okay, so now we have our strands in the cup, and I already see some of them sinking. So we might be onto something. For this test, we're supposed to wait like 5 minutes. So we're just gonna go ahead and put that on to the side. And now we're gonna move on to our second test. While this waits there, we're gonna grab our bottle of water, and we're going to wet a section of our hair, and we're gonna see what the droplets do. So if your hair looks like it's repelling the water, or the droplets like sit on your hair and they don't want to be absorbed, that means you have a little bit more of the low porosity. Now if I spray the bottle and my hair just goes and absorbs it right up, then that means we're a little bit more on the high porosity. So you see what I do for you guys? I don't put on product. I wet my hair when it's already dry. You know, like, this is real love right here. Oh, I wet my face. Okay, so let me get closer to the camera so you guys can take a look. Okay, so I see a couple of droplets, but quite honestly, in comparison to the amount of water that I sprayed, I feel like my hair is absorbing the water pretty quickly. I mean, I'm already, like, the droplets are already starting to disappear. Do you guys see how some of the curls are starting to look stretched out? That's because I feel like the water is starting to be absorbed into the hair. Yeah, you see? Like, I barely even touched it. I did anything, and look at these curls. They're already looking stretched out, and they're looking a little bit heavier. I feel like it's also doing it pretty quickly. Now, again, I feel like one of the toughest things about comparing your hair or saying my hair dries fast, my hair dries slow, it's like, who are you comparing it to? You know, for me, I feel like it's absorbing it fairly quickly. Like, it's really not taking that long to be absorbed. However, if I was comparing it to someone else, I'm not quite sure where in range I fall with that, but I have seen curly girls where their hair repels the water completely. That is not the case. What happens to me at all. I don't know if someone else's hair will absorb the moisture or the water a lot faster. Okay, so I think that that's it. Like, there's literally no more droplets in my hair. My hair has completely absorbed it. That's been like, what, like a minute? So we're just gonna say that I'm falling a little bit more on the side of the high porosity. Because remember, we gotta start seeing this as like a scale, not so much like 1, 2, and 3, you know, because I feel like that's what's driving so many of us bananas, that we feel like we're supposed to fit in one category out of the 3. Last test that I'm gonna be doing with you guys on camera is the strand test. So I'm gonna grab, obviously I can't grab from here because this is now wet. So from here, I am going to, oh, can we talk about my earring? Oh, I love it. So right here, I'm gonna grab a strand. And here is what is said about this test. If you hold it from the bottom, and with this finger, I'm going to run my fingers up. If you feel like texture, if you feel it bumpy, and if it makes kind of like a noise, that means you have a little bit more of the high porosity, because the texture that you're feeling is actually the cuticle is open. So you're actually feeling the cuticle. Now, if your finger slides up and down very smoothly, very quickly, and there's like barely any texture, that means you have a little bit more of the low porosity because the cuticle is completely closed. So there's not really much to feel. So let's go ahead. Oh, mine feels like, I feel like mine feels very textured. It was a lot more textured than I thought, because I don't know why I thought that it was for sure it was going to be smooth. I guess it's just because when you look at it, it just looks smooth, but it definitely did not feel smooth. My strands of hair definitely feel more on the rougher textured side. Yeah, and I've already grabbed like quite a few, and they feel very bumpy. So far I feel like test number 3 and test number 2 have definitely shown signs that I have more of the high porosity type of hair. Now, I feel like it's been a little bit more than 5 minutes, so let's go to our cup. Okay, probably wasn't the best cup to put this in because I could see what's going on. Not quite sure if you guys can see what's going on, but my hair is floating somewhere in the middle. You guys might have to just take my word for it, but you can kind of see it, right? Okay, so when I look at it from the top, there are some strands that are floating all the way at the top, and there are about, I would say that there's like about 2 strands that are floating in the middle. I don't have any that reach the bottom, but I do have some that stayed floating on the top, which in that case, that would make absolutely no sense, because then that just goes to show that my hair has low porosity, which I really don't think that's the case. So maybe if I left it for a little bit longer, I'm not sure, but the other 2 strands of hair are showing that I have the medium porosity. Alrighty guys, so I mean, that was pretty much it. It's all very simple. I'm a little bit excited because I'm like, my theory on my hair was right. Look at me. Good job. I love that I did this because now I'm just like a little bit more confident in what I already thought, because I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I thought. I feel like today's tests have proven that my hair falls a little bit more on the medium to high porosity. Anyways, I would love to know if you guys decided to do this along with me and what were your results. Let me know in the comment section below. Have you guys tried this? Have you guys ever even looked into your hair porosity? Now, if you haven't, I want to take this moment to encourage you to research on it, do these kinds of tests just to get a better idea, start getting a little bit more familiar with your hair's porosity, because out of everything curly related, knowing your porosity is going to be the most helpful thing in your journey. It's going to help you pick the right products. It's going to help you determine how much heat you should be using in your hair. Should you be washing your hair with cold water, with warm water? Like, it's just going to help with so many things in your journey. So I definitely recommend that you do a little bit of research and you do these tests, because again, these tests are not 100%, but they're gonna start to give you a better idea. Alrighty, so this is pretty much it for today's video. We are done with our test, and I am exhausted from all this test taking, and I feel like I need a break. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, please don't forget to give this video a big old thumbs up to let me know that you like it. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I love you, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! And yeah, I'm like totally distracted by these lights.